And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. You're down by the banks, catching a sinking ship. That is the Reds. Maybe, go drown your sorrows across the street at the Holy Grail. They'll get you taken care of. Great food, great drinks. Bengals season coming up, so a lot of you will be down there with some regularity. Stop by, get yourself a Cincy Light. Not only does that proceed go back into the Cincy Reigns Fund, but the Holy Grail will donate an additional 50 cents on every purchase back in to the Cincy Reigns NIL Fund. Support those that are supporting us and supporting the student athletes at UC. All right, let's get this thing going. Dave, we have talked about this off the air for a while now. Now we finally have had a chance to make it happen. Real, tangible basketball talk in the off season.
Right.
We have talked all football all the time for essentially like 6 weeks. So I got my guy who finally has settled his roots back in America for the foreseeable future. And we are going to talk some summer workouts. We're going to talk about this team. We're going to talk about where things are at as they steamroll towards the beginning of the season. We are joined by none other than my good friend Drew Adams, director of recruiting, assistant basketball coach, father of like 8 kids, just an all-around busy guy.
Now, thanks for having me, Chad. It's good to see you and David, and I appreciate you guys having me here.
You
4 kids, and you got me out of bedtime duty too, so that's nice.
I was thinking that. I was like, 8 o'clock, he's probably gonna get in trouble, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we were going recruiting most of the last month. I'm gonna go hop on this podcast, babe. Thanks.
I tried to get you on last week, and it would have messed up starting your vacation, and you probably would have been a single dad of 4 by today. So it's good to have you on, Drew. How's it going, man?
No, it's going great. Everything's going well. Exciting time of year. Start school on Monday. Guys are getting back in town. It's been good.
Let's start with the fun part. Explain to people behind the scenes what NIL has become. We'll start easy, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, we could do the whole hour on this, or however long we're going for. But I mean
as long as you're willing to sit here, we'll talk to you.
I mean, it has changed everything. I mean, you still have to have genuine relationships with your players and the people and the recruits, and you want to bring great people into your program. I mean, that's not changed. Like, you're going to win and lose with people. But as far as like quote unquote winning and losing recruiting battles, those are much different, because now, like, even if you can win, or in the past, it was just, man, we got to win this recruiting battle for this guy that fits our roster. Whereas now, like, you have to factor in as well, is he the money component, or what you think that's going to be, and different teams are offering drastically different amounts to money and to different age groups, like, paying different people. So I mean, there's a lot more that factors into it now than just, is this kid going to be good enough to play in the Big 12 or not?
Does that?
And go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I was going to say, does that? Not that it makes it easier, but is part of it more cut and dry when you have these like initial conversations and you're being told what I'll just say the going rate of a particular prospect is, and you guys might not see that value or whatever. Does it allow you to then just go, well, we like him, but we don't, this isn't going to work out. We can already tell this isn't going to work out, so we're not going to waste time. Where in the old days, it was, we really like him, we're going to be in there until the very end, and then you don't get a kid, and then you're, kind of stuck a little bit because you used a lot of your time and resources on someone that you didn't get.
Yeah, sometimes, especially in the spring, in the transfer portal or spring recruitment of high school kids, it's moving really fast. So like but like still, like in fall recruiting or in the recruitment of high school kids or junior college kids, prep school kids, like those recruitments can go a long time. And what you think what they think their monetary value is at the start of it, after a couple of months, may drastically change. And like, it's not like the market's really corrected itself yet to where like, and it's not the NBA where there's a league minimum or you can expect this guy that averaged 10 and 5 to get this. Like the same kid and the same two kids in ability could still go for drastically different amounts of money right now in college basketball. Sometimes it just takes two really, competitive teams that have money in their pocket to decide that's the one, and it can, get out of control.
How difficult is it because the market is constantly shifting? Like, I've talked to you, I've talked to assistant coaching friends around the country. It seems like every offseason, like you have to almost prepare for the market to double just because that's what it's done the past 3 years is what it cost last. The price of poker is consistently going up.
Yeah, no, it has consistently gone up as this is found what the market value is going to be. It's consistently gone up. And right now, and this is above my head we don't even, it's hard to even know what next year will look like so you're trying to make, decisions about your program, and the court settlement hasn't happened. There's a giant court case. I don't know how much people know deciding if we're going to do revenue sharing or not. Well, that obviously drastic. And if they do revenue sharing, is there collectives too? Is there no collectives? Is there sponsor? Like there's about 6 different scenarios that could be in place in 10 months, but that would drastically change, recruiting, and you're trying to make decisions here in the next couple of weeks with, very little information when it comes to that front.
And then not only if that goes through, then you have a whole new thing to deal with, which is it goes in-house and you get essentially a budget of NIL that you're allowed to spend. And then it's up to your athletic department to determine who gets what piece of the pie. So not only do you not know, are we still on our own with NIL that has to be raised and run through Cincy Reigns? Is it in-house? If it is in-house, how much do we get? Like, I don't envy you guys because normally I think like you guys got a pretty your job's not that tough. You coach some basketball. Like I don't envy what you guys are going through right now at all because there's so much that is just wildly unknown and the variables are vast.
Yeah, in most professions and in ours in the past, all the way up until right now, there's always been there's been different ways to have success, but there's been different blueprints to have success the way you want to have it. And there's no blueprint for this. You got to kind of just, talk it out, use what you think is right, use your intelligence and try to figure out what you think is going to be best. But it's not like you can go look at, Bob Knight or Bob Huggins and say, this is how they did it. Like it's totally new. So staffs are trying to figure that out with their athletic directors and the athletic director department and figure it out as you go, really. And like any volatile time, we have great leaders in Wes Miller and John Cunningham, and in any volatile time, like there's going to be big winners and big losers. And you obviously want to be, hopefully you're on the winning side.
And then you get to the point of deciding, how much value is there for a freshman in a league where, let's be honest, freshman impact is not something that has been common over the past couple seasons in the Big 12. But the lifeblood of your program is still, it probably needs to be younger guys. Maybe it's not freshmen, maybe it's freshman transfers or sophomore transfers or whatever. But that's another sliding scale that, now this is what a freshman costs. Do we do it or not?
No, I think it's a double-edged sword. In the fact, I think most of our staff really enjoys evaluating kids, getting to know them, developing them. It's how we've, go through our whole thing, Chad Dollar, Andre Morgan, Wes Miller, Tim Buckley, all of them have kind of recruited kids, developed kids, had a relationship, got them better and built their program that way. The same token, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, I think if you take the NCAA tournament teams out of the Big 12, I can think of 4 freshmen that started, the 2 lottery picks at Baylor, Furphy, who was the number one pick, I believe, in the second round of the NBA draft, and the Iowa State wing, who is obviously a very good player for them. But so 3 NBA players and 1 other of any NCAA tournament team that I can think of in the Big 12 without no prep. So yes, like there was not a ton of freshmen that like started and just dominated winning. But the same token, Jizzle James is great. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and he impacted winning too. And he's been great all summer long. He's a staple of our program. He's liked by fans, love him, players love him, coaches love him. He works his tail. So you know what I mean? But it's also what you came back to say. Like, you got to have freshmen getting experience and getting better and building themselves. And so you got to have a fine line and figuring out. You got to pick the right freshmen that want to work like he wants to work, like Ray Von Griffin wants to work. That are about the right things. And like I said at the beginning, it comes back to the people, and you got to get the right people that if it's a transfer or a freshman, no matter who it is.
And as the coach, you have to be terrified because there was one team that relied heavily on really talented freshmen, really talented freshmen, and the coach got fired and the whole thing got blown up, and now none of them are at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine line.
David?
I want to talk on the court with what you guys have brought in with, the transfers, and just kind of, if you don't mind, just kind of giving everybody a little insight into each of those guys and like where they've kind of taken some big steps from the moment that they got to UC through the summer and kind of where you see their impact being most likely made on this year's team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still – I'll preface that everything with it's still really early. We've not had one official practice, and a lot of things will be decided in the fall as we get going in late September and October. But I think all three transfers are really good players. Dylan Mitchell started on an NCAA tournament team in the Big 12. He's extremely, extremely talented. He can do a lot of different things with the basketball. I was even surprised with how many different things he can do, like that he maybe didn't get to showcase at times. He's got great vision. He can really pass. He can really handle it. He shot the ball well this summer. He's obviously an elite athlete. Arrington Page, another super versatile player that can do a lot of different things with the basketball. He can guard. He can rebound. He's a great offensive player. He can dribble, pass, and do a lot of different things. He was a freshman playing in the Pac-12 last year. So he's obviously brings a lot of different things to our program. They've both been very good this summer. Connor Hickman, he's played 3 years at Bradley. He was an all-league player last year. He's been a part of a lot of winning, and he's another very skilled offensive player. He can dribble, pass, and shoot. He's very, very mature, and he's a good kid. So we're excited really about the versatility and also the character that all three of those, along with their experience, obviously, but the character and the work ethic all three have shown so far has been great.
Hickman's an interesting one. Somebody that you have a extended history with, playing with your dad's AAU program,
Mm-hmm.
and you recruited him at Bradley, and then getting a chance to get him back here. Has anything surprised you about his development or where he's at now since you left him at Bradley? A year and a half, 2 years ago?
I didn't think he was going to have a 40-inch vertical. If he hears it, he'll be laughing. I coached him for 2 years of college. I knew he could jump a little bit, but I didn't think that. I don't know if Ray Felt was shooting him in the butt before they took out the test or what. But I wasn't. I didn't know that. But no, he's really. I've been here for 2 years, and I left him after his freshman year of at Bradley. He's always been a super mature kid. I mean, I've known him since he was an 8th grader, but his maturity, he keeping his, staying steady through the good and the bad of a practice or a workout, shooting, just seeing that growth. And it's been really cool to see from, knowing him as long as being away for a couple of years and having him back. That's been really good to see.
I want to ask you about Ray Von Griffin and just, one of the main guys that we, just because the roster was pretty full last year, just didn't get a chance to get on the floor. What are some of the things that fans didn't get to see that you guys saw over the course of the season and now into the summer that gives you guys a lot of confidence that he can be someone that this season can be a real contributor to the team?
Well, he's worked his tail off. He worked as hard as anybody this summer, and he did last season too. He's a worker. He plays he played incredibly hard all summer long. He can do another guy that is very talented. But his work ethic and his motor and how hard he's played. I think he set a tone a lot of times this summer and how hard he played, and that could be offensively, defensively, rebounding, whatever, keeping balls alive on the glass, running the floor, guarding, talking, doing different things. And obviously he's a very skilled offensive player as well. But I think those things really popped out, just setting a tone each day and how hard the Bearcats were going to work. And he was right there at the top.
What does he need to do? What are the things that you guys are looking for as he continues to develop that's going to get him, more time on the court, more run this season? Because again, the roster is pretty loaded with older guys, and you got to set yourself apart. What is that thing you think? Is it just how hard he plays?
No, I mean, I think Ray can do a lot of things, and ultimately I think all that'll be decided. Like, I don't know if any coach in our program, and it sounds generic, but it is the truth, with as many guys as we have that can, 14 guys that can play, as many guys as we have, I don't think any coach could confidently tell you who was going to start, who was going to play, where we would be with that. But I mean, he had an excellent summer, and just continuing that, I think it'll be the biggest thing. I think if you're a good person, you work your tail off, and you're an everyday guy, things are going to work out for you. And that could be 1 through 15 on our team.
There's only JJ out. Get mad.
I forgot we had 15 there for my numbers are messed up. And now next year we go to 15 scholarships too. So I told you, I should have done more math.
Math isn't good. You're fine with where you're at.
Yeah, we've got a no math policy here. You're okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I want to ask you about just the first year in the Big 12. I mean, everybody, I guess, had an idea, but like as you guys lived it day in, day out, game practice, game plan, once you get into that true late January into February, the true grind of the conference season, was it more than you anticipated, like pretty much what you anticipated? And then looking back on the year, does it shape or change anything of how you guys now move forward into this mammoth 20-game conference schedule with, adding even more power to the league?
Well, I think we talked about the depth. I think that will be the depth of our team, I think, is a major strength for us, because it might be hard on one given night, for Coach Miller to decide who's going to start, who's going to play the major minutes, but our depth will be a big asset, because I mean, the pounding and the grind you just take every night is not like anything I was ever a part. I was a GA for Bruce Pearl at Tennessee when we were number 1 in the country briefly and played in the SEC. I worked at Indiana for 2 years, and I was at Tennessee for 2 years, the opposite Indiana. And even in the Big Ten and the SEC, like there were some nights like we were pretty heavy favorites, you know what I mean? Or there were some teams you thought you were going to beat if especially at home, if you just did what you were normally supposed to do. But it was not like that in the Big 12. I mean, it was every single night. It was a war and a grind. There was no bad teams. I actually talked to Craig Smith, Utah's head coach, the other day. He was an assistant at Colorado State when I was an assistant at New Mexico. And he said he had spent the last 2 weeks just watching different teams in the Big 12, us being one of them. And he was just like, Jesus, like just the physical.
It's okay. It's fine.
He was just like the grind and the physicalness that you guys play every single night. And I mean, Houston, Iowa State, TCU, Cincinnati. He was just like every night. Doesn't look like there's one night you can catch a breath. And I was like, there's really not. There is no night. Like, everyone knew how good the Big 12 was going to be. Our fans, you guys, me. I mean, my wife, but like experiencing it is a lot different. You know what I mean? Like just every single night, it's another title weight match, and it was so you have to have some depth, but you have to have mental toughness. I think it really helps to have gone through it before, and that not being your first time, from especially for players, staff, everybody, because it's just a lot different than it used to be. I mean, we were in the 30s, I think, last year in a lot of the analytics, and obviously finished 9th or 10th in the league last year. So and you're one of the 30 best teams, where a lot of people have us top 25 in the country, but there's still 5 in the top 10. So I mean, it's just Yeah, I mean it's going to be a war every single night, and it can be the 14th team in the league. They're all well coached. They all have good players.
What was your response when you were told not only are you going to 20 games, but there will be no bye week. There will be no week off from January to March, right?
Yeah. Hope somebody doesn't get hurt at the wrong time.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean you just have to and Coach Miller's, his just basketball intelligence and emotional intelligence is so high. He does a great job of knowing when to push the guys and when to rest the guys, because if you don't have that, that is a 20 game grind, and you lose one or two 1-possession games and it can get away from you fast. If you don't have the right, mental fortitude, the right leadership, the right guys in the locker room. Because it's all these games are 1-2 possession games, and without the right, mental toughness, it can get away from you.
I mean, how different does last year look if out of those first 6 games you get Texas, or if you get just 1 or 2 of them, all of a sudden? I thought the biggest issue for last year, I'm interested in your thought on this. Once you get even a game behind schedule, it feels like you're constantly clawing your way out, right? Like if you sneak 1 or 2 of those games and you're playing from the front,
yeah,
the mindset is maybe just a little different than when you feel like you're constantly, we got to get back to 500. We got to get back to a game above 500. Like that's brutal in this league. And all it takes is a bad, what did Mick used to say, Dave? You're 1 week away from a 3-game losing streak when they were in the Big East.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. That you sorry, I was kid was knocking on the door there. But yeah, I mean, you can get on a losing streak. You can play good basketball and get on a losing streak. I mean, right. You can play really good basketball. I mean, we had 3 games in 6 days one time, and they were like Kansas, TCU, and Iowa State. You know what I mean? Or something like it can happen fast. And with how good the teams are all across the country, you're on the road, you're home. I mean, like you said, you lose one home game, it might be sandwiched between road games at Houston and Kansas. So, I mean, you're, like you said, 1 bad week from a 3-game losing streak. But then you do have time to make it. You do just have to snap back, have the toughness to come back, because you win 2 or 3 in a row, and all of a sudden you're right back where you need to be.
How much more prepared do you think the guys are going to be now that they've been through a year of understanding what it's about?
I think a lot. I think, and you hope so, but I think a lot. And you think we didn't have very many guys, if any, that had really been through a Big 12 season last year. You know what I mean? So I think that makes we're banking on makes a big difference.
David? Looking at your non-conference schedule that you guys actually do have a somewhat of a hand in putting together, how much do you now look at the Big 12 schedule, and how much of a determining factor is how you guys try to set up things in the non-conference?
Well, I mean, you're right off the bat now, 20 games at 20 high major games before you do anything. We're playing, obviously we're playing Xavier, so you have a game there. Obviously we're part of the Big East Challenge. Then you got Villanova. So, I mean, before we even start the schedule, there's 22 high major games. And I think you have to do a good, in my opinion, and I'll be honest with you guys, I try to stay as far away from scheduling as I possibly can. But you got to decide, you got to do a good job of both testing yourself, but also having time to, you got to play games where you can do different things, play different guys. And I think, in my opinion, you have to have a good balance there between high major games and reasonable games. And you got to take care of business. Also, I mean.
Well, and now with the transfer portal, I mean, I know you guys only brought in 3 guys, but those 3 guys are going to play a lot of minutes. So every year is a different story, and you need a little time where you're not just crashing into a wall at full speed.
For sure. And, I mean, it makes a huge difference. And also, like, you're already going to go through 2.5, 3 months of just absolute bloodbath. I don't think making that 6 months of bloodbath is always reasonable either. You know what I mean? Like, there is a cumulative buildup of how much of how much you can handle.
But you also don't want to be in a situation where, like last year, you had 2 high major games, you didn't win either of them, and now again you're
Agreed.
playing from behind. So there's
Yes.
got to be a balance.
For sure. I totally agree. And then, so we'll have
That's why you don't do schedules.
Yeah, that's why I don't do schedules. I can get on here at the end of the year and just start complaining. I'll just be able to say, "Oh, I should have done this."
You and Dave would be best friends. You really would.
Why? Why would I? What? Well, I mean, Drew probably doesn't know this. I'm a Vol. You coached one of, if not my favorite teams, apparently, the year they beat Memphis to be number 1 in the country.
Yeah,
so
yep.
those are all my guys, and that's one of my favorite teams ever.
It was a very fun group, and that was an incredible game.
Yeah, but we won't derail it with Bruce Pearl and
No.
Tennessee stories. We'll stick to the Bearcats, but I just thought that was interesting.
Matt, I'm going to tell you this from the bottom of my heart. Drew wouldn't know if there was a future MTE teaser if his life depended on it, because I've tried to get that type of information out of him, and he's legitimately like, I don't know. I don't go in there.
You guys
they're talking about it. I'm out.
Everyone would want to fire me. My suggestions is we go to the Caribbean every year, play 7 mid-majors, and enjoy the beach, and no one's listening to me.
You could set up, I mean, U.S. Virgin Islands, that's a U.S. territory.
But yeah, rotate the Virgin Islands, the Bahamas, and the Cayman Island exempt tournaments. I'd go all 300 level teams. Get the bus there, and we see you guys later.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly a different outlook on it when you're living it day to day versus fans are always they just want the premier games. We want to see who's coming to the shoe out of conference, and you guys are probably like, guys, we're gonna have 3 months of hell on earth. We don't really, like you said, we don't really need to intentionally make it 6 months and make it excruciatingly harder than we know it's already going to be.
Yeah, I do. I think I agree with you. I mean, I think there's just a perfectly fine line, and I don't know if it's like anything. I don't know if you'll ever find the perfect. If it's some years, and you also, when you're predicting who you're going to play, like you don't know how good even the high majors you're going to play are going to be. I mean, I think in this day and age,
especially now.
Yeah, so you might schedule it thinking it's going to be almost too hard, and if 1 or 2 teams don't turn out to be good, it becomes lesser than you thought. And it could go vice versa. You thought, maybe this won't be too hard, but a couple teams get the right transfers, and all of a sudden, or the right guy gets, the right billionaire gets involved, and all of a sudden, you're playing one of the top 20 team in the country. So you just
Speaking
really
of
don't
BYU.
So you just
chicken conglomerate hires a guy from 75 miles south, and you got a whole different team now.
It can happen. We could be, yeah. We need to get Ryan Reynolds and do like a welcome at Wrexham and start with like a 300 level team and see what they can do.
Jason Kelsey, he's not doing it. He's completely free. I think he's got a whole lot going on right now. He could get into something like that.
I'm sure he'd like to spend his own money on random transfers to a non-UC team.
Well, if he owned a team, like they don't spend their own money. That money comes from somebody else. That's how that works.
Well, I did. I don't know, Drew, if you saw this. Howard's coach.
I did see that.
Is trying.
I don't know how that would work.
I don't either.
I don't know the details behind it or how it would actually work, but that was very, very interesting to see if something like that plays.
What's he trying to do, Dave, for the people that don't know?
He's essentially trying to
sell
shares of the program.
And it was I forget the number. It was seven figures, right? I mean,
yeah, I didn't get into the article as much as just seeing like that he's like legitimately just trying to, you can own part of the team essentially. I don't know what that gets back to you at a program like what your return on it at a program like Howard is, but I mean, I'm sure the bigger programs would have a lot more to sell back to people. So who the hell? I mean, We didn't think
What
anything.
say do I
We didn't
have
think anything
about
was going to
part
be
of
like this 5 years ago. So who the hell knows where things are going 5 years from now?
No doubt. I don't know if anyone does.
I want to know what say I'm going to have if I'm going to buy a steak.
Yeah. Do I get to fire? Do I have to fire your ass when you don't make the tournament 3 years in a row?
You're being generous. We're gonna get
Anymore, yeah. Do I get to come to meetings? Do I get to sit in? Develop the recruiting board? I got some ideas. I got some guys that I like.
I can't wait.
When I was out on the road. Let's get into the summer.
Yep.
Just as an overview, I know you were. Damn it! I know you were over in Europe a couple times, but you were at most of the 8 weeks of the summer workouts. How do you feel the summer went? How do you feel? Things kind of progress through that developmental phase.
I think the guys had a really good summer. I think just as we had 8 weeks over the summer, but also just from establishing how hard they are going to work, and that it's going to be a player-driven group. We only get 4 hours a week, but those guys were in there. It's every time I walked by making a phone call, I felt like they were in there a lot. So, I mean, just setting the standard for how hard they're going to work, both during practice and out of practice. Mike Rayfeld, who's the best strength coach in the country, which you guys have known for a long time, him getting them for 4 hours a week. I thought just the intensity, the work ethic. I thought the guys really established that this summer. We went through the summer also totally healthy, which is obviously huge in any sport, but especially right now. So we healthy, established the work ethic. Coach Miller got to put in some things he really wanted to put in this summer, and just getting the guys a chance to work together was really great.
What are kind of the guidelines and rules from a purely like coaching standpoint? What are you allowed to do, not allowed to do, and how does that work when you're you guys you brought in 3 transfers, 2 of them are veterans in the college basketball tournament. You brought back everybody else on the team, so you have a very veteran team.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change how you structure the summer? And kind of how you guys get involved in that?
Oh, Coach Miller did a good job. We did more of this. We get 4 hours a week on the floor basketball wise, and then Coach, Mike gets 4 hours in the weight room. I mean, the weight room, conditioning, plyometric. He gets 4 hours also. So you get 8 hours a week, and you get 8 weeks. So that doesn't change. But with the veteran group, we were able to do more during those 8 hours. And Coach Miller was able to put in more, do more, teach more, get a little more advanced than we have maybe some other summers, and also push them a little harder this summer. And I thought he did a masterful job with that. But because having the veterans and guys that have been here and guys that are really experienced in college basketball, we were able to get more done this summer than my time here.
I thought it was interesting this year. Usually there's a lot of individual stuff, and then that leads into group work, and then eventually you get into team stuff. This year it felt like there was there was some individual stuff, and then immediately you guys got into okay, this week it's defense, this week it's transition, this week it's secondary break. Is that the benefit of having a veteran team? I talked to Wes about it a little bit, and he said, look, the idea is I want to touch on all of this stuff now so that when we get back together in the fall, I'm not introducing it. I'm not starting from the beginning of anything. You read the first chapter in every book almost, it felt like.
Yeah, I think so. And I think our guys did a good job with that. And they were able to pick, some teams in some years with a lot of new people, though, it might take you 3 weeks to read that first chapter, of each thing. And so then all of a sudden after 2 chapters, you're about done. If you did 2 weeks of individuals, this group was able to really move on, pick that, get through those chapters fast, almost, like an advanced group, an advanced reading group. That was helpful. And, and you had got a lot of guys, Day, Jizzle, Day and Ray, all these guys that have been Aziz, Seamas, guys that have been through it too. So when you have half the team out there that has been through it, knows the drills, knows how we do things, knows the terminology, it allows the other guys to pick things up a lot faster too.
When you guys looked back on last year, coaches got together. I don't know how you guys do your self evals and stuff like that, but when you got together after the season, and once you kind of knew like what the team construction was going to be going into this season, do you guys kind of sit down and go, here are the areas that we feel like kept us from achieving the ultimate goals that we had? Or how do you kind of look at it and go, okay, this is what we did last year, this is what we feel like we need to work on to kind of take this group to the next level?
Yeah, we have a lot of in-depth conversations at the end of the year and through the summer, and still do really leading up to in the practice. So we're very, you're always very critical of yourself and things you could have done differently. I thought we had a very good group, but yeah, I mean, we a lot of possessions, and we spent a lot of time talking not just about like what we could have done different, which obviously we do in private, but also just trying to find different ways we can steal possessions this year. And experience makes a huge thing, but how we can just move the bar tiny percentages in different areas that, over a course of game, win you a couple more possessions, and over the course of the season, hopefully win you a couple more games in this league, maybe, 5 or 6 more games.
Yeah. Does having the veteran group I know as fans, if something on offense or something on defense isn't going the way we hope, a lot of people are just like, well, just play some zone or something. It's not. Most know that it's not that simple, because if you were really good at it or you'd spend a lot of time at it, you'd probably do it more. But with a veteran group in this time period, and then as we get into the true lead up to the season, does this group maybe allow you guys to work on some of those variations or different nuances for this coming season, that maybe when you have 2 point guards that have never played Division I basketball, let alone Big 12 basketball, or kind of the way the roster was constructed last year, does this year's roster allow you to maybe try some stuff out and work on some of those things a little bit more to give you guys maybe an edge here and there?
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, 100%. And they remembered a lot of the stuff we do too, obviously now, and they're also super experienced and they pick up things faster, and they're both incredible workers and learners. But yeah, I mean, we're doing stuff this summer. Let's just take transition offense. We were doing stuff in transition offense this summer that we hadn't started till the start of practice in the end of September last year, because we were trying to get, here's an outlet pass, here's how we push the break, here's when we want to cross the, you know what I mean? Now we're actually doing different what we're going to do in transition. You know what I mean? You can skip some of them basic steps, or you can do those basic steps in an individual workout or in a day. So yeah, I think with any veteran group, and that was just one example, it could be the rim running with a Z. It could be anything, instead of teaching Aziz how we run the floor in transition, well, he knows that. We can teach him what he's doing when he gets down there right away, when the ball goes this way, or when it's dribbled across the floor, when it's reversed through the floor, when it's just pitched ahead. So you can go right, to more advanced things during the summer that we probably couldn't get to until almost the start of practice last year. And then I get when I watch, I wanted my daughters to play volleyball or soccer or something. So because I didn't want them to do something that I knew anything about. Now I just sit over there and get my daughter at 7-year-old basketball. So
push them into volleyball. It's actually fun. And there's a lot more to it than I realized. It's actually a pretty elaborate.
I believe it. I want them to do it too. I want them to do a sport I know nothing about, so I can just go cheer and tell them to play hard and listen to their coach.
Molly will love me for this, but go introduce them to Molly. She's great.
All right, we'll do that.
Let's get into some individual thoughts that you've had on guys throughout the summer. We'll start with guard. We'll start with Day Thomas coming off of the foot injury. That's Pickle, by the way. She's the third member of this podcast. She might have some questions at the end for you. But let's start with Day. Eased him back into things, but once you got him back, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredibly important piece to the team this year. So eased him back, but he was really, really good once he was back. And he's just, man, he's a phenomenal kid, but he's so low maintenance. He's what you want in a point guard, man. He's incredibly low maintenance. He does what he's supposed to do. He picks things up. He works hard. He has his teammates' backs. Like, I mean, serious. Like he is as low maintenance. It's one of the biggest compliments a coach can give a player is great. Like he is one of the lowest maintenance guys I have ever been around in my college. He takes care of the stuff he's supposed to take care of at a high level and does it a lot. And obviously he's a tremendous basketball player. He's one of our best defenders. He's athletic as heck. He knows the offense. He makes it go. He makes the right play. But a phenomenal kid and phenomenal, worker.
Jizzle James.
Great. I'm going to say probably a great kid for every single player on our team, but
and that's not bullshit. Like you have a great group of kids.
And I think that starts probably with John Cunningham and Wes Miller. And I really do believe people will make an organization go, but Jizzle, another incredible worker, man, and came in as a freshman. And from day one, he has been one of the hardest workers in the program, and it's never changed. Learn different things, but man, he's an extreme talent, athletic freak, but can score the ball, works. Does what you ask him to do. He's an extremely, obviously Coach Dollar recruited him, and that recruitment was done before I even got here. From my first day on the floor and his first day here, man, he wanted to be coached, and by everybody. It doesn't matter if it's a GA, me, someone he knew, someone he didn't, and it's hard to get. Another great compliment that he just wanted to get better at basketball. And when he walked out on the floor to practice, he would, he left everything at the door.
The thing that if Jizzle was about the wrong things, he probably wouldn't be here this year. Let's just be honest, because you talk about tampering, and there are a lot of people real interested in Jizzle James this offseason. And if he was about the wrong things, it would have been easy for him. He didn't start, he didn't really see that great increase until he earned it, until he went about things the right way. But he was loyal. He wanted to be here. He wanted to be coached. He wanted to be a part of this. And I think that speaks volumes.
He was about the process. He has genuine relationships with the people here, and he was about the process. And I think he saw himself keep getting better. And that's what he wants. He wants to be a pro. And hopefully he sees that he can and will do that from here.
Connor Hickman, we talked a little bit about already, but can play on the ball, can play off the ball. And he's I think what people need to know, he's more than a shooter.
Oh, for sure. He's more than a shooter. And the other thing is, he can, like you just said, and he can play with the ball in his hands or not in his hands. And he can shoot with the ball. Like a lot of shooters can only shoot off the catch or off the dribble. He can shoot both ways, off the dribble, off the catch. He's a two-way player. He's a good defender. And he's another really hard worker. He's in the gym all the time. He helps set the tone there. He's very mature. And, his high school team was the number one team in the state when COVID shut it down. I think his AAU team never lost a game his last year playing with them. And he won a regular season championship and played in 2 NITs at Bradley. So he's been around a lot of winning as well.
And, he just kind of gives you a little bit of everything, which as a basketball coach, you want as many guys that can give you a little bit of everything as humanly possible. CJ Frederick, it was frustrating for him last year, clearly, but he's having a great summer.
Great summer. Been at every single practice, every single workout, every single weight session. He's every single workout on his own on his own. He's 100% healthy. He's worked really hard. Obviously everyone was frustrated with last year and the fact that he got hurt, but that's no one, shit happens, right? You know what I mean? And he's had a great attitude about it. He's worked hard to get back. And this city and place means a lot to him. And I know he wants to end it with doing something special here and the team in a team atmosphere and go out with a bang.
He could have walked away. He probably could have gone somewhere else and got, a big NIL check, whatever the case may be. But he genuinely, he came to you guys and said, look, I want to make this right. I want to make an impact before I leave here.
100%. He had a lot of different things he probably could have done, but he loves Cincinnati. He's got a great relationship with the staff, and he wants to see Cincinnati do something, really well with him, special with him here. And
Well, and now you and CJ have something in common.
what was that?
You've married way out of your leagues.
True.
Your wife is watching, so I was
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
brownie points there.
Yes, she is.
Hi. Dan Skillings, effervescent, great personality, works hard, and he's hoping to have one of those type of seasons as a junior that vaults him into the upper echelon of this league.
Another guy that has 100% bought into the process and worked his tail off at it. You know what I mean? Like, came off the bench as a freshman, played, what was it, 7th, 8th guy. Then next year he ends up, maybe didn't even start early in the year and ended up being a starter. He's gotten better and better. He's worked more and more. He's gotten more given to him, or that he's earned, nothing given. You know what I mean? And he's had a really good summer. Another guy that spent a ton of time in the gym. He's worked on different things. He's been consistent. I don't think he missed one workout. Another guy that didn't miss one workout all summer. And he had a very, very good summer. He worked his tail off, did everything we asked him to do. And he's could have had another kid that could have had a lot of options, but just loves it here, has a great relationship with the people here, and wants to do something special before he leaves here.
Another one of your guys, Simas Lukosius, who, boy, at the end of the year, he was playing as well as anybody, I would say, in the league. Like, he really elevated as he finally got healthy and got comfortable. We see this year 2 jump for transfers. What kind of jump do you think Simas can make?
I think he can play like just as good or better than he did down the stretch. You know what I mean? With that swagger and that toughness. I don't know if I'm sure people. When we scrimmaged Indiana State, he got hurt on the very first play of our damn inter-squad scrimmage. Then he gets hit by the car. Then on top of that, he's a transfer trying to figure new things out. And it just, the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the country, and he played his best basketball in the Big 12. I would have liked to have. I think we all would have liked to have a healthy, confident Simas in the non-conference too. And I think he could have done that done that then a little more as well. But had a great summer, worked hard. I think, hopefully he's ready to, start where he stopped. But each year's a new year too, and you can't ever think. There's a lot of kids that think they're going to just start where they stopped the year before. And if they don't put the work in, or they don't have the right, mental mind frame, it can backfire on them. And this is his last year. So I don't think that will ever happen, but he's got to, he's got to work. He's got to have a great preseason. He's got to be in the best shape of his life, because people are also going to know it now too. And he's got to be ready to go.
Be careful when he's crossing the street too.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I saw him on a scooter. I saw him on a scooter one time, about threw a baseball at him after I saw that.
Ray, we've talked a bunch about Ray already, but a guy with some versatility, can slot in at the 3, can slot in at the 4. That's going to help him, because you don't know in any given night what you're going to need.
Yeah, and can guard 1 through 4 on defense. He's a big time rebounder for a spot. He's a very good cutter. He's a good shot the ball well this summer. He can put the ball on the floor. He's very, very versatile. And you can't teach, motor and desire. And he's worked really, really hard this summer.
Josh Reed.
Josh has had a very good summer too. You know what I mean? Like, he's been in the weight room with Mike Rayfelt. He's worked hard. He's a terrible golfer. I saw him swing a couple times yesterday, but I didn't swing, because I'm a bad golfer too now. But man, he's just an absolute phenomenal kid that has got 2 years of experience now and super versatile. Another guy that can guard 1 through 4. He's got great length, but he's got great IQ and savvy too there on when to make plays on the ball, different nuances to do. Just a very good, versatile player that can do a lot of different things. Had a very good summer, and obviously we, like all of them, only expect him to get better and better. Now he's got a lot of experience under his belt.
Yeah, and I think for me, like, you need to see him be a little bit more comfortable offensively, right? Because he got the defensive side of things down last year. He's got skill as an offense player, but it felt like he never found that confidence to be assertive offensively.
For sure.
He was trying to fit in.
Yeah, for sure. And he's had a great. I mean, it's hard. I mean, first year, you're a freshman, then your first year in the Big 12. But he's had a good summer, man. He shot the ball, he's shot the ball well. He's handled the ball, and he's just got to, he'll keep that up going into the season and let the work show.
But were you there when he subbed on the coach, or like was a guest on the coach's show? And he mentioned how much golf he played, and Terry Nelson was like, golf? Like, we didn't play golf. And Josh was like, I went to a private school. They played a lot of golf there. Like,
no, I was not.
Nudge, nudge. It was outstanding.
I was a public league. I didn't get to go. I didn't golf.
No.
Now I'm not good enough. I just get angry. Like, I can't enjoy it.
Yeah, like the thing about golf is, you have that one. Dave's a golf fanatic. He used to work for the PGA, so yeah. Dave loves golf. But the addiction is you hit that one shot around that you're like, I'm getting better at this. I think I'm starting to figure this out. And then 17 holes of.
Yeah, man. For sure. I get frustrated. I wish I was a better golfer. I wish I had the time, but especially with 4 kids. Like, I basically got Cincinnati basketball and my 4 kids. I don't have time for another long hobby.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of training the next Tiger Woods. I've taken on the Earl Woods mantra. He wants to go to the range all the time, so we're well on our way.
That's awesome.
To PGA Tour stardom.
I think I talked to him yesterday, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Driving home from the range," and he's like, "I didn't hit any balls. Will just was there swinging."
Yeah.
Dylan Mitchell, like you said, a guy that played on 2 NCAA tournament teams, played in an Elite 8, probably should have played in the Final 4. A guy that's got a ton of versatility and maybe hasn't shown everything that's in his bag yet.
Yeah, and another kid that caught that it was extremely, extremely coachable. And I don't even as another college coach, you don't always fully know what you're getting. But man, he's an unbelievable kid. He wants to be good. He does everything he's asked. Was in every single workout. And I know that some people probably sitting at home, yeah, man, you should be in everywhere. You'd be surprised with how many kids, get hurt or miss workouts and stuff like that in college. And they can, there could be an excuse. We didn't have any guy. Our guys were in every single workout, every single day, working their tail off. And Dylan was no different. He's obviously extremely, extremely versatile in what he can do both on offense and defense. He's got a ton of experience. He's been around a lot of winning. And I'm also a big believer in winners, man. Like, I think it's an underrated I think even college coaches, I think even NBA guys, when they're recruiting or signing guys, don't value winning enough and who has that talent. And when you get enough guys that have been around winning, winning usually follows that.
Tyler Betsy, boy, he can shoot it, but how's everything else?
And he's got phenomenal size, phenomenal length. He's got NBA metrics when you look at his body to be able to shoot the way he shoots. Another extremely coachable kid, extremely versatile, can guard multiple positions, play multiple positions. He's very, very cerebral. He's always watching basketball and watching film of whatever. I mean, it can be on YouTube, it can be of us, but he's always watching. He really wants to be better, and he can do a lot of different things.
How is he at this stage defensively? I know it's never easy for freshmen, but he played in the Premier League in high school basketball, I think. Has that had any impact?
He's guarded really well this summer. He just has such length. You know what I mean? He's 6'8" with a plus wingspan. When he sits down and spreads out, he can cover a lot of ground, and that'll allow you to make a couple more mistakes than me or you if we were out there guarding.
You don't want that.
No, so we'll see. And like you said, we put in the first, just the first chapter of our defense, and there'll be more and more put in and more nuances to it. But he had a great summer defensively, and he really picks things up fast for a freshman, especially.
Look, you went to Iowa. Do they even teach defense there? You score the basketball, right?
Stand in front of your man and see if we can hit more threes than they do contested twos.
Tyler McKinley.
Man, awesome kid, and super, super mature, like a very mature kid, play multiple different spots, really wants to be good. In gym rat, like he's in that gym all the time working. And obviously, being a Cincinnati kid, he's always here, not going anywhere, and he wants to be good. And usually, if you can't just say you want to be good, but if you want to be good and you work at it and you put in the time and you listen, like usually only really good things follow. And he had a really good summer, and he's just, both our freshmen are very, very mature, good. There's no BS. There's no, they don't have all the answers. They had a lot of questions, which is what you want, and they want to get better.
I think he was a little far. I've watched Tyler for a long time. I was curious how it would translate early. I think he was maybe even a little farther along than I anticipated from what I saw this summer. Yeah,
he's obviously coached really well last year, and then he was at Link before that and played for great AAU programs, and he surprised me with just how far, how well he did this summer. He's his maturity too, because you never know about any 18-year-old kid coming in. Even the greatest of kids can be immature, and he's just a very mature kid.
18 going on about 27. Arrington Page didn't have the freshman season that he wanted, but the raw talent is all over the place. There's so many things he's got the ability to do. Now he's just got to put it together.
For sure. And he's been very, worked really hard this summer. He can obviously do a ton of different things with the ball, and the fans and everybody's, because of it, recruited him twice. And the second time he basically called and said, I want to come. I should have come here. This is where I wanted to be the first time, I should have been. And he's had that attitude since he's been here, and he's come in and worked. He's been coachable. He's he's more skilled than I only got to see him at his USC clips, and he's more skilled than even I realized watching him in practice. Like, you watch him do ball handling drills and you play one-on-one or cone drills, all the stuff we do, getting warmed up and stuff, and passing drills, and he can do all the stuff the guards do. He's very skilled at that. Very skilled basketball player.
Him and his high school teammates should have made the right decision the first time, but I digress. You live and you learn. And then Aziz Bandego, the big fella, looks like he's gotten stronger. He's flexing on him in the Mike Rayfeld pictures. Take us through Aziz.
Aziz had a really good summer. Healthy, happy, knows what's going on, knows the system now. I think that, he had a lot going on last year, man. And didn't know he was going to play until 5-6 games into the season. He was under a lot of scrutiny. People just trying to say, trying to decide how he felt for him, and he, it weighed on him. And also while being in a new city, away from your home, an ocean away, also while learning a new system, not knowing what your future basketball is going to be. So like this summer, he's worked really, really hard. He's done what he's supposed to do. And, just seeing how much he's enjoyed it and the process, and how happy has been totally, you can tell a lot's off his shoulders compared to last summer.
One of these days I'm going to get you on here and you're going to say, you know what? That guy stunk this summer.
I'm going to be the head coach to say that.
Didn't have it. Just didn't have it.
He has to do we're bigger, faster, stronger. Everybody had a great summer. He's not allowed to be like, yeah, this guy, we had to have some talks.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why Coach had him sign that guy.
Yeah. No. Like, I didn't recruit that guy. I don't know who brought him in, but
no, I would
never get his shit together. Also, a couple of new staff members. 2 guys I think pretty well. I don't know your specific relationship with Bill before he got here, but Coach Buckley recruited you to Iowa. You guys have bounced around a little bit together, and I would assume you had very good things to say about him when his name came up.
Yeah, played for Coach Buck when he was an assistant at Iowa. I worked with him for 2 years at Indiana, or really worked under him. I was the video coordinator 1 year and the operations guy the second year, and saw how we transformed, and he was a major piece of transforming that whole program around. I've known him since I was 21 years old. I'm 39 now, so an 18-year relationship, and really knew him a year or two before that, or when I was younger than that, coaching AAU, and he was the head coach at Ball State. But really got to know him when I was a player at Iowa, and he was an assistant. He actually got me the Indiana job, or helped me get the Indiana job when I was there. But he had also worked with Jake Thielen, who was on our staff at the time. He knew Chad Dollar well because Chad had worked for Tom Crean, and Buckley worked under Crean for so long. So had a lot of ties to our staff, and he's been a great addition. He's got a ton of experience. I mean, we joke with him. He's been a high major basketball coach for like 30 years, other than the 7 or 8. He was the head coach at Ball State, and spent a couple of years with the Timberwolves as well.
The shot doctor.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a great demeanor, and he's extremely, extremely knowledgeable, but extremely, extremely humble, and just got a great demeanor about him. And then Bill Comar, BC's, as we call him, is he's a machine. He's been awesome. Didn't ever work with him. I knew multiple guys that had Lou Godino at Ball State's one of my good friends. Mike Roberts worked with him at Indiana. Other people at Indiana that I knew had worked with him. So we knew each other on a surface level, but Coach, a lot of people on the staff had known people that known him, and he's been a great addition as the chief of staff here, and helping us run. And he's a heck of a basketball coach. He's done a lot of different, he helped do, I think he did baseline out of bounds, sideline out of bounds for Archie Miller for a decade between Dayton and Indiana. So he's a really good basketball mind. He's also just a really smart person. So I think, anytime you can add that, it really helps. So yeah, then we also added
how he worked at X for a while. How smart can he be?
I know we give him a hard time about that. Yesterday we were at a golf outing with some alums, and everybody was giving him a hard time about his time over there.
I have a degree from X, so that should answer all your questions.
All right, Chad, we're just letting anyone on this damn show now. I'm on here. We got Xavier fan on here. I mean,
no, don't say fan.
Look,
or alum. My bad. Sorry. Yeah.
It's just a testament to what it takes to get through Xavier's degree program.
Master's degree.
Yeah.
And then we got Jalen Stowe back too. He left us for a year, and he's back. So another guy spent 3 years with Coach Miller, and he's got a ton. Witten worked at High Point for a year, and they had a really good year and saw some different things, and it's good to have him back as well.
If speaking of Jake Thielen, if Bloomington South called, would you take that job, or are you good in college?
I would not. I'm good in college.
Did you tell Jake he was crazy?
I said you got to do what makes you happy, man, and do what's right. But I also don't know. I mean, and he's very happy, and I think he'll do a great job there, man. I think he'll win a lot of games.
He will. I just like giving Jake a hard time. I love him. Known him for a long time, and he's one of the best. And I still think, going back to high school, awesome pressure cooker.
He's a awesome person, man. He's a good basketball coach too.
Yeah,
he's got
he's got big shoes to fill.
Good players. Have a nice pipeline for you guys.
Well, I told him he needs to start recruiting. I don't care what the KHA, whatever the rules are. You start recruiting. I promise you the other dudes down there in Kentucky are.
Yeah. He's at a Catholic private school. They can't.
They better be recruiting already.
Hey, tell him. Send him messages on Instagram or on Twitter, everybody.
Yeah. Jake, get some dudes. Come on, buddy. Jeez, what are we doing here? Dave, you got anything else before we let Coach get out of here and go hang out with his wife, who did all the hard work?
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot, and he's probably missed bedtime for everybody in the house. So, he can walk up there and feel good about his contribution to this evening.
You only had one knock on the door?
Yeah, only one knock. I know it was my 5-year-old, I'm sure. My 7-year-old doesn't break a rule. She does. She's the oldest, just everything you're supposed to do. My 5-year-old does not care. She's going to do what she wants to do.
Real quick, how was FIBA? You were at 17 Worlds and 18 Euros, or the other way around?
I think I can say that. You know what I mean? I was in I can say I was in Istanbul, Turkey, and Tampere, Finland, and Skopje, North Macedonia, and I don't know if I
We're
said
not
that.
talk about players, but we can talk about where you've been.
Yeah, so those were the places I was. Two of the places I was. And obviously, we covered all the American AAU events and all the high school stuff in June. So it's kind of high school stuff in June, NBA, and then you move on to the AAU stuff in July, and the end of and early first week of July, early July, and early August. You have the FIBA stuff.
That's it's got to be fun.
It is. Yeah, it's long. And the days are long, but it's very fun. I mean, it's different style of basketball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're national teams that have had training camp, and a lot of them have played together since they were 10 years old, and they have training camps leading up to it. And it's one game a day. They get days off. They're scouting reports. So it's just very different. It's a very different style of basketball. And with NIL, I think this is a very positive thing. But with the growth of the international game in the NBA, and now with NIL, you're going to see a lot of those, the best Europeans that weren't ever coming to college because they were taking pro deals at 16. A lot of them are going to come to college now, and you started to see it this year. And so I think you're even the best of the best over there. You're going to start seeing some more of them come to college now.
And basically, if there's not a Euro or two on the roster going forward, you're just taking vacation.
I'm sure. Did you talk to Jeff Vetter?
It's going to be like
did Brad Pike and Jeff Vetter tell you that?
the movie Air, when Phil Knight asks, what exactly do you do here? I thought you were supposed to get me get us players.
Yes.
Great time in Turkey. I don't know.
There were games.
Just didn't work out, Coach. Just didn't work out.
Couldn't find the gym. I was in a foreign country. I don't know.
I will tell you the most shocking thing of all this, and maybe I didn't realize that Istanbul is not like there were most of those European places. There's like stray dogs everywhere. There's stray cats everywhere in Istanbul. There were hundreds of them everywhere you went.
You didn't bring one home, did you?
No, my 5-year-old, the one that doesn't follow any rules, was begging for it too, but no, it did not happen.
All right, man.
Coach,
We appreciate
I didn't get any players, but I brought home a cat.
Yeah, that would be the worst business trip ever.
Can you imagine how much it costs to get a cat from Turkey to the United States?
No.
All right, man. I will let you get back to the fam.
I can tell you how much it costs to get a wife from New Mexico to the Midwest, so I don't want to see what a cat from Turkey costs.
You almost got out of here without getting yourself.
I like to spice it up a little every once in a while. So,
tell the fam I said hello.
I will, David, Chad. Thanks a ton.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks,
good stuff.
Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
See ya.
He did that on purpose.
Oh,
He was trying to get in trouble.
for sure.
There you go. That's Drew Adams. One of my favorites. There's been a lot of guys that have come in and out of here over the years, football and basketball coaches. And I knew Drew a little bit from his AAU coaching days when UC was recruiting Indiana Elite early in mixed tenure and getting to reconnect. And he's been awesome. I love having him here. So thanks to Drew for coming on. And there's an hour of basketball for you guys. I do just one day. I'd like to hear a coach like, man, that guy he's not cutting it this summer.
He gained 12 pounds this summer. The only time I see him is when I go get food after practice.
Yeah.
Wait, just one day. I just want to be like, I don't like this recruiting class we brought in at all. We missed on every kid we wanted, and this is just what we were left with.
Oh, boy.
We're probably going to be looking for jobs in a couple of years because of
it. We don't hit the portal, we're in trouble because these freshmen stink.
Yeah.
I watched them work out for about an hour and I was ready to quit.
Because, I mean, that's like the old cliche football line when you start spring practice. Every team had the best winter workout we've ever had, and we're all bigger, faster, stronger, and we're all bought in, blah, blah, blah. Well, not every team goes undefeated or wins 10 games.
Right.
Something
Right.
didn't work. Something didn't work for you guys.
There's an old adage in college basketball now. Well, it's a new adage because the summer stuff is pretty new, but everybody loves their team at the end of the summer, but then everybody hates their team by like mid-September, late September. Right?
3 weeks later, it's totally changed.
Yeah. Right as practice is starting, or they're getting the season. The closer the season gets, the more it goes from I love everybody, everybody's working their butts off to we're not going to win a game. We're not going to win a damn game.
Oh, I lived it. And this is on a much, much, much lower level, but my dad was an assistant freshman coach, and they had an insane amount of success in like his whatever X amount of years. Like they went like 200 and something in like 20. My freshman year was the worst team they had at 15-5. And the head coach would call our house and be like, Gene, I don't know if we have two guys that can walk and chew gum at the same time. And then they'd go 20-0.
Yeah.
Like, they had the reverse thing. Like they thought they stunk, and then every year they were good.
No, but that's the best part about college, because again, at the end of the summer, everybody loves their team. Everybody loves their team. By October, everybody hates their team. Nobody has a good team in October. It's great. All right, let's keep it rolling. That incredible basketball content was brought to you by Turtles Brew. 6% ABV, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free. It's a bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla, lemonade tea, strawberry mint. There's over 100 locations in and around Ohio, 50 plus in greater Cincinnati. If you want to know where you can find it, all you have to do is go to turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. And as always, a portion of the proceeds go to Save the Sea Turtles. What else you got? Do you got anything else you want to talk about, Dave? Matt Zenitz, I guess, put out the report the other day that Cincinnati will name Brendan Sorsby the number 1 quarterback. Satterfield hedged on that yesterday. He talks to the media tomorrow. I think it's the first event that we haven't had anybody there.
Right.
So, of course, he's probably going to name the starting quarterback. Keegan's in Myrtle Beach. Oh. Yeah. You want to go to practice tomorrow?
No, not really. I can't.
Worth a shot.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to, but unless they change it to 5:30 at night, that's going to be tough for me to do.
3 to 5.
Yeah. Not happening.
It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot.
You're not going to be there?
Kelsey's got a game at 5.
Okay.
It's our home opener. So
you're not going to skip that one?
I was going to send Kelly, but she's not available. So I will be there. That's as you know, I was raised in a single parent household.
You allowed Keegan to go on vacation?
I think it is a family deal where every August his family goes on vacation. I don't want him on vacation. I want him at practice tomorrow, but
yeah. We need a BCJ correspondent.
If something happens, we'll have the news. I can guarantee you that. But yeah. So, I mean, I don't send George. Yeah, maybe I'll call George tomorrow. Have George show up in the old TV. That's a good idea, Darren. I didn't even think of that.
Get him
George's probably playing golf tomorrow.
Meet him somewhere. Get him some BCJ gear. He can,
something. Either way, look, let's be honest. And Tonk, by the way, thanks for upping their membership for 27 months. You're the real one. You're a real one, Tonk. Appreciate you.
I had a Tonk reference 2 weeks ago in Gatlinburg.
Really?
I was wearing the Tennessee Vols hat. He got me, and someone asked me where I got it, and I go, actually, I have no idea. It was given to me as a gift.
That's funny.
So
I think we're all going to be surprised if it's not Brendan Sorsby. Like
I would agree. I mean, especially the way it sounds like you guys talked about how he kind of, I'm not going to say turned it on. I mean, I think he was pretty consistent throughout camp from all your guys reporting, but the last few days at Higher Ground, you guys definitely talked about how those were two or three of his, best days, and that's a good time to have them as we're getting close to the kind of the true end of camp and turning it over into the true season prep.
I think you have to feel good about the fight that Lichty put up. I mean, this is not something that we were, saying 4 days into camp, like, look, this isn't even close. Like,
right.
Lichty had a good camp, and that's what you want.
Right. I mean, it was not I don't think it was a competition for the sake of disguise or deception or, trying to keep someone interested that didn't truly have a shot. I mean, I think they went into it in that true sense, but I think also anybody that takes an honest look at it was like they probably didn't bring Brendan Sorsby in to not win, but he still had to earn it. He still had to go out and prove that he was the starter, because they're not going to just start him if Brady was out playing him, day in, day out type of a situation. Right. So
the equity wasn't there where he was just handed the job.
No, absolutely not.
And Lichty pushed him, and Samaj had a good camp. I mean, I still think, I wouldn't feel great, and this is no knock on Samaj. It's the reality of playing a true freshman quarterback. If they had to play him, I would be uneasy with that. If they had to play him like in game, like he's the starting quarterback for whatever reason. But I thought he got better as camp went along. I started to see him, putting some touch on some intermediate throws and layering the football a little bit, and not just, leaning back and firing 103 mile an hour fastball every time he threw the ball. So I think there was significant progress there from him.
I think you're right. I mean, I think they've got a pretty good room right now, and hopefully everybody stays healthy.
Knock on wood.
Yep.
Anything else football-wise you want to talk about, Dave?
Let's see. Just some I saw 6 players were on the Senior Bowl watch list.
Yes.
I believe that was John Williams, Josh Minkins. I shouldn't just pull it up, but because I'm going to forget something. But John Williams, Josh Minkins, Dante, Luke Kandra, and now I'm going to forget the other 2.
I was surprised there was one that wasn't on there. I thought Tinsley would be on there.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me get back.
This is great for us, really showing our preparedness. If I was going to talk about it, I should probably look at who was on
Kiner, Xavier Henderson,
okay,
Kandra, Corleone, Williams, Minkins.
Yeah. And then captains were named today: Derek Canteen, Gavin Gerhardt, Dante Corleone, Luke Kandra. I think not surprised about the 3, but I think you're always not surprised. I mean, everything we heard from the moment Derek Canteen became a name to pay attention to was all the good that came from his time at Virginia Tech. But it's still a surprise when a first-year transfer comes in and in a few short months is able to earn a captaincy from his teammates.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that carries himself like a leader. He's always talking it up. He's always kind of helping coach guys, make sure holding guys accountable if they're not in the right spots. Like, he's definitely one of those transfers that the team that lost him did not want to lose him.
Right.
So,
and I think it's good to see Dante, because I think he had self-admitted that, from a leadership standpoint, he had always been just do the work and people will notice that you're doing the work and follow you. And he had even said, like, I want to be more vocal. I want to be seen as that true leader, true team captain, and for that to happen, given everything that he's gone through over the last month plus, and then it's obvious that he's kind of taken that step personally, because I don't think you get I mean, I think very few guys get voted captain just because they're like the consummate pro and they're working hard and
Right.
pulling guys along with them. I think to separate yourself, there needs to be some more behind it.
And I will say the workout he was going through Tuesday was probably the most grueling one I've seen him go through to date.
That's good. I mean, yeah, there's probably a point now where they're like, okay, we need to test a threshold and see like, okay, but if you're gonna get cleared to actually go out there and hit people, you gotta kind of almost pretend like you're at that level of exertion without doing it,
right?
To see how you react. Because I don't want to. I would think, clearly not an Aaron Himmler or anybody like that, but I would think you wouldn't want to go from doing individuals all the way to, you kind of want something in between of like, we're really going to push you, see how you react. If you react well, then maybe we can start integrating you in with some more of the actual like contact football stuff. Not all the way, but we're going to take this kind of like, okay, you responded well to this. Now the next time we're going to, maybe you get to do a third of that stuff, and then we'll see how you respond. And then you do a half of it or whatever, So there's got to be a point where you're, okay, we got to push the guy, before we can truly let him go in and start hitting people.
My understanding too is this is not really a matter of them like being cautious with them. It is following.
Right. I'm sure there's like a plan.
Right. A certain medical, like this is where you have to be at these certain benchmarks. And if you clear all of the benchmarks, then we can clear you to play.
I would guess it's probably, this might be a bad analogy, but it's probably similar to like concussion protocol. Like you've got to do this X amount of days in a row before you get to go to the next phase.
Right. Or given what he's gone through, like, we have to examine you X amount of days from the diagnosis before we can fully like,
right,
put you back out there full go. But again, Tyson Veit seemed pretty optimistic about when he would be back. Scott Satterfield has seemed optimistic about when he will be back. So,
and I think we don't talk injuries, but I'm sure if there was like, because we all knew he was doing stuff.
Right.
He was working out, then he was doing, like, if there had been any days or even a day where all of a sudden he goes backwards, where he's like basically just standing there all practice, somebody, whether it was us or somebody else, would have reported that like Dante had been doing this and now he's not. So it doesn't appear like there's been any, I won't use the term setback, but even like easing him back, like maybe saying, okay, maybe we pushed it too hard, we need to pull back a little bit. It doesn't appear that there's even been any of that.
I have not seen him milling around with the guys that have significant injuries.
Right.
Like, everybody that's injured is doing some sort of training. If you hurt your arm, you're doing stuff for your legs. If you hurt your legs, you're doing stuff for your chest and your upper body and your arms. Like, but there's a couple guys that, like Jalen Hunt or Micah Coleman, like those guys are out for now. Those guys are recovering from surgery. So you're not going to have them doing a whole lot. And Dante was not just lounging with those guys watching practice. He was always active. What's good, Natty Round? So yeah, I mean, I think there's some optimism. I don't know what that timetable exactly looks like. It feels like
be honest, like
earlier in the season than not.
He doesn't need to play against Townsend,
no.
Whatever. Like,
right? No.
But to do what? Play like, if the game goes the way you want it to go, like what? To play like 10 snaps, 15 snaps?
Yeah, but even then, I think you need those 10, 15 snaps to figure out what the hell you got on the defensive line.
Yeah. I think you know what you got with him. So let's let other guys get out there, and then you can see more of them. And
I do feel like if he was going to be ready to go for Towson, we would see him in teams.
Oh yeah, probably.
Like I think he would be back at that level. Like if it was
he's not going to
time.
like go into game week as the first time he's doing team stuff and then run him out there for a game that could be. I know the weather's great right now, but we know how August is. Like this is completely unseasonal. There's a very good chance it's going to be 90 with like an 85% humidity. You're not going to have him do team stuff for 1 week and then put him out there in that type of a situation.
Yeah. I think Saturday's supposed to be okay next week, but I think it's supposed to get hot again next week. It's
supposed to get hot again next week. So we'll see. But yeah, it would have been nice to have a game this weekend.
I mean, this has been this is what I like to call San Diego weather.
We might hit in the 40s tonight.
I know that's San Diego weather. 76 during the day and 48 at night. Like, let's go. There's been like frost on the car, not frost, but like
dew.
It hasn't dew like heavy dew. I guess is a good way to put it. When I've gotten up to take Kels to school in the morning,
which just means we're gonna get like drilled in the face with some stupid, nasty, hot weather in a week. But anyway, couple house cleaning things. Next week on this show we will have housekeeping. We will have Anthony DeFino from the athletic department, who it's become a yearly tradition to kind of do a what's new at Nippert as we go into the season. So we'll have him for 20, 30 minutes, whatever it takes, to kind of let him tell everybody what they need to know. I know that John Cunningham put out a very eye-catching tweet the other day showing them working on the sound system. I have a source that has told me that the group in charge of all that had been on campus for a week, if not more, trying to work through all that and see what needed to be upgraded or fixed or whatnot. So we'll have Anthony on, and then Chad and I will do the full on, we'll go game by game and kind of give our thoughts and whatnot. And then before that, though, we're going to be having another season of the Bearcat Brunch, Sunday mornings, 9:30, with Jeff, Hal, and myself. I don't think Jeff will actually be on Sunday show. I think Aaron will be filling in for him. He has a family commitment in Kentucky on Sunday. So the first show will be heavy. We'll just basically not talk any UC. It'll be a national look because you guys will hit on it a ton on the brunch or on the BBP. We'll hit on it a ton on Wednesday. So there's kind of no point in starting it off that way. There'll be plenty of time for that. And that is a big part of the show, looking at the stuff, looking at the sport nationally. So we'll probably just do mainly kind of national preview stuff this Sunday morning, and then we'll get into the games like we have been. I think we may have a new sponsor on that. I will hopefully have more on that Friday. But if you are listening and you would like to sponsor the brunch, please reach out to Chad, myself, the Bearcat on the board. Send us a DM on our Twitter accounts.
Widely regarded as the best show we do in the network.
I don't know if I'd say widely. The potential sponsor will fit right in with most of our other sponsors as well. So it will, So yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully, we get to talk about a few more wins this year. But I always like talking college football and breaking down the games right after they happen. I think it's obviously I'm partial. It's my show, but it still is pretty much the only place to go for pseudo instant, analysis of the game that is more than just reading a gamer or, checking out a box score or something like that. So
Well, we will also officially be doing post-game shows for every game.
Oh, okay.
So Aaron and I will have you, right after. A lot of times, that's in a weird spot on Saturdays where people are doing stuff. So then, if you can't catch us Saturday, you can catch them Sunday, or you can catch both and get. That's the nice part about it is it'll be, completely different perspectives on the content. So
Yeah, and we use some analytics out there that's not readily available right after the game, so it's nice when
Right.
they have that stuff up on Sundays. And yeah, so we will have a lot. I mean, lot of football coverage.
A lot, which that's what we're here for. It's better than going through, 12 weeks of summer with very little.
Yeah.
We're in the 12 weeks of fun now. So
yeah.
I don't really have anything else. Do you?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, there you go. We wanted to get you a heavy basketball thick show before we get into the depths of football. And then, basketball, once we get to like late September, early October, basketball we'll start swinging back around as we get ready for the season. But I appreciate Drew for taking some time out of his night.
Absolutely.
I know he was devastated not to get to hang out and put his kids to bed tonight, but we thank his wife for allowing us his time.
Yeah,
so,
that used to be my my escape, but now the kid is exhausted and goes to bed at 8:30 now that he's in like real school with no naps. So,
well, Ron, if you missed, you joined us late. The whole first hour of this show is basketball talk. So wait till you hear what Drew had to say bad about. No, I'm just kidding. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Special thanks, as always, to the Holy Grail and to Turtles Brew. We will see you next time. That is the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail, right here on BearcatJournal.com.